At the southern end of the Olympic Peninsula in western Washington lies the picturesque and affluent waterfront city of Gig Harbor. Just up the hill and across the highway lies the only women's prison in the state. There are currently about 900 women incarcerated here, and roughly 97% will eventually be returned to society. This is Washington Corrections Center for Women, known to many as Purdy Prison. Every year, about 500 women are released from this facility to locations all over the state of Washington by their county of origin. They're given a check for $40, the clothes on their back, a paper sack with their prison number stamped on it, and a ride to the bus stop. Then they are released to become part of society once more. Hotel owner Sue Brayton is often their first contact in the outside world. Offenders are told to go there on release for the care package that Sue always has ready.
As the hotel opened, I believe it's 15, 16 years ago now, we would get women come in these gray sweatshirts and gray sweats, and they'd have a grocery bag, brown grocery bag with numbers across it. They'd be a little different than the average guest coming in. We figured out, oh, they just got released from Purdy Correctional Facility. The van drops them off at the bus area right across the street from the hotel. So, here we are, the first place they come running to get matches and see if we'll cash their checks for them. At first it was like, oh my goodness, these, they're very loud, they're obnoxious, a lot of them, and they're, people are kind of looking at them, and I'm kind of thinking, oh my, and then it just hit me one day in my heart, oh my, that could be me, oh, that could be my daughter.
Sue Brayton is just one of many people in the community who are touched by the desire to help the offenders transition successfully back into the outside world. Over 700 community volunteers work long hours with the Corrections Center staff to provide programs that help the women lead fuller, more productive lives once they are released. In spite of this effort, nearly 2/3 of them are reincarcerated, many within the first year. This is a vicious cycle that plagues our prison system. Studies show that the most important factor in preventing the offenders from being stuck in a revolving door is getting and keeping a job. The Corrections Center did have a program run by WorkSource that focused on specific training to craft a resume, search for a suitable job, and be employable. Unfortunately, with the state budget being squeezed, this program was one of many that lost funding. Kevin Moss, Associate Superintendent for Programs, is tasked with approving offender programs for the prison. He describes the job preparation course that was once in place.
In the past, we've contracted for a re-employment class, which was called Job Hunters, which was created from Employment Securities Department. It lost funding.
I believe that we're all one decision away from being here ourselves, truly. Anybody could be behind these walls.
Melissa Johnson, the Corrections Center Public Information Officer, has been with the prison system for 14 years and has witnessed thousands of women pass through this facility.
With women, they're mostly crimes of passion, drug crimes. They've had some form of abuse. There's something that happened in their lifetime that brought them here. They don't have confidence. They're struggling to even survive out there, and then they turn to a life of crime.
Finding a solution to break the cycle that brings so many of the offenders back has proved elusive. It is difficult to change years of conditioned behavior shaped by abuse. Without the ability to support themselves legally, the women give in to fear and see no choice but a return to a life of crime. Within the prison is a General Council of Offenders dedicated to positive change and supporting a set of core values. Membership in the group is open to any woman who agrees to abide by the common values of respect, honesty, compassion, education, and usefulness. By following this path, they allow themselves to heal from past abuse and addiction, and take a huge step towards being a productive part of the community on re-entry. The Re-entry Sub-Council meets several times a month to identify and address the specific challenges facing offenders being released, especially those who have been imprisoned for a long period or multiple times.
I went to headquarters and realized that they already had a book, but they didn't know how they were going to deliver it. So I took the book and I gave it to a group of offenders here in the Women's Village Re-entry Subcouncil. And I asked them if they could develop a program around that they could facilitate themselves. So they actually took the work and they started to develop a class, and they started to facilitate a class which would only be like 2 or 3 offenders at a time, but it was something that filled the need.
Buck Freimeyer of the Gig Harbor Rotary Club saw that there was a desperate need for a program to help the offenders. It was a daunting task to develop one, and only someone with his drive and passion could do it.
We know from the data that those who can get a job as soon as possible upon release do not reoffend.
Buck knew that these offenders lacked far more than job search skills. He needed to find a way to instill optimism and confidence in a group of women who have never had anyone believe in them and who have never believed in themselves.
We know that there are several factors that can make a difference in affecting the recidivism rate. One of these is training while they're still serving time.
He set out to develop a program that would replace and expand on the one that was lost to the budget crunch.
The program was developed by myself, primarily in concert with material released and made available by Employment Security, called New Directions. At the same time, Goodwill of Seattle, Goodwill of Bremerton developed some wonderful materials, and we combined those together into a specific curriculum, 30-hour, 6-week course. Took us about a year.
Audrey Shaw of Rebuilding Families Inc. in Gig Harbor worked closely with Buck to craft a comprehensive course.
Then the Rotarians came and said they've got the same book, and they were developing a whole curriculum around this reemployment training, and they wanted to know if they could meet with me and go over the process, and could they deliver that program here. Well, of course, I made them a deal that if they used offenders to co-facilitate with them, I would agree with that.
The curriculum that they developed filled an entire 3-inch binder. It covered all the topics an offender would need to prepare for a successful job search and interview. Now that Buck had a program that would work, he needed volunteers to help deliver it to the offenders.
It's incumbent that we have people help us train who are from the local clubs. That especially is important. The trainers need to come from the local community.
Buck's first step was to get support from the Gig Harbor Rotary Club. He spoke with Mel Santos, who was head of the Vocational Services Committee.
I can remember Buck Freimeyer coming to me in a vocational service meeting with an idea. And his idea was to replace a program at the women's prison that had been gone for a number of years. And the more we talked about it, the more I thought, I don't know how this can work.
Hillary Bridge is one of the younger members of the club and wasn't sure she wanted to spend her spare time in a women's prison.
I've really been open-minded to all kinds of people. I've always had all types of friends. I've never really been a clique or in a clique, but when you think prison, you think of a certain person.
Rotarian Dennis Cargila was skeptical at first.
I was always of the mindset that let's just lock them up and throw away the key and not worry about it anymore. Save everybody a lot of time, save everybody a lot of money.
About a year later, the actual class had been approved by the state of Washington, and we started preparing for classes. And of course, at that time, I felt obligated to Buck. And Buck has done so many great things for Rotary. If he has an idea and he wants to start something, it's probably going to work. So I felt like I should participate.
I joined this program because I thought it was a great idea, and I was amazed that something like this was not already in place.
I don't want to trivialize why some of these women are incarcerated, but I can think of some circumstances in my own life where maybe some friends and I were out just to have a casual good time. And there's a good chance that we could have been in an accident and may have ended up with a felony arrest. Coming from a culture where you're growing up with both a mom and a dad and a strong family, you are oftentimes given a little bit better tools so that when you have these difficult issues, you're better able to make those split-second decisions that won't negatively impact you for the rest of your life.
Some of the women involved with the class talk about their feelings and their motivation to commit to the hard work demanded by the course.
A lot of them are moms that came from families that, were broken homes and things like that, didn't have a lot of structure. They want to be good parents to their kids. They want to, get out there and live in good neighborhoods and have a good job and things like that. But they just don't even know how to go about it the right way.
So what are the stereotypes?
That we are uneducated, just throw us away and lock the key, that we don't deserve anything better.
I'm a lifer and I'm 4.5 years short and I'm scared to death of leaving.
Don't believe in the stereotypes of prison, because you never know what you're going to find in there.
I would say we need that compassion. We need the people we need people that will believe that things can change and that with positive motivation, things will change.
We're mothers, daughters, aunts, we're human and we want the opportunity to change. But if nobody gives you that opportunity, how can they expect you to change?
This is my second time here, and I don't want to come back here. I want to be able to make it out there, and I don't want my grandkids thinking it was okay to be here.
And I just am worried about everything that's associated with getting out. I mean, I haven't done much time here, but I am using this time to change myself so that I can be somebody different.
And it's true though, some people, this is a revolving door for them, and this is a way of life for them. But for some of us that come in here and really want to change, we want that second chance. We want just that one chance to get out there and to show someone and to prove to not just ourselves but other people in the community that we can make it this time.
If we don't have people out there that care about us, we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it.
When the idea was first presented to me, as the father of 2 young daughters, I had some ideas as to why some of these women were there, but I was quite wrong.
The women that are in this class are volunteering to be in this class. They're not forced to be in it. These are people that want to get real jobs, that don't want to do drugs, that don't want the bad life. They want to live a straight line. They just don't know how. They've never been showed how, and maybe they've never seen anybody else in their life live a straight line.
Generally, the people that we get are the cream of the crop. They're the ones that are there obviously for a reason, but they're people like all of us. I'm sure there are people there that we don't encounter in the classes that will never be good people. But these people are, they want to learn, they want a second chance, they want to try.
Kevin Moss and Hilary Bridge describe how the course is structured. What they don't mention is the heavy load of homework that each student is required to work on outside of class time.
Each class that lasts 6 weeks has 2 Rotarians that actually deliver the training, and then we have 2 offender facilitators that have been trained to facilitate groups.
The class is 6 weeks, every Tuesday and Thursday, and we basically just get them ready to hit the job market the day they get out. We do resumes and cover letters, so do a fashion show so they have a good idea of what professional wear is and what to wear to an interview. And we also do mock interviews. We spend an entire day. Imagine that an interview in front of 20 other people is probably, one of the hardest interviews that they'll ever have. We talk about the importance of a baby job if they've never had a job before or don't have good references. And that baby job can provide references and skills that they can use to move towards a career.
This class is teaching people how to survive out there, how to get a house, how to pay your rent, how to write a resume, how to get a job, how to make a job a career, how to go on to schooling. A lot of these girls don't even know these resources are out there. let alone the people that are willing to care to come in here and teach them.
I did not know how to do a resume. I didn't even know that I had qualifications for a resume till Hillary helped me.
Nobody wanted me to be their neighbor. They all wanted me out of their, out of the neighborhood. And I want to be somebody's neighbor. I want to be part of the community, and I've set goals for that.
Once they get out, whether we like it or not, they're going to be dropped off in our communities, and they're going to be our neighbors, and they're going to be your neighbor. And the best thing that we can do is provide them the steps so they can get legitimate jobs and get on their feet and provide good lives for themselves and their families and become contributing members of all of our communities.
Everyone who participated in the course was changed by the experience. The Rotarians had their eyes open to the prejudice and stereotypes they carried inside. The offender facilitators found strength in the knowledge that they could actually offer valuable help to other people. And the class participants found the courage to really, truly believe in another chance.
Once you're in there and you get to know these people and you get to know their hearts and where they're coming from and where they want to be, you realize that everybody has so much good in them, and it's just a matter of letting that good part shine in them.
It's made me feel like a better person, and it's made me care a lot more what happens to people.
Reentry starts the minute you walk in the door. It's not in a month, it's not in a year. It's the minute you walk in the door, you prepare for getting out.
You want to hear what are the obstacles when you get out, and how did you cope with those? Because a lot of people don't think about that until it's like right in front of them.
Yeah. I know.
And what you need to do is start planning for the obstacles that you're going to, have to deal with, and how are you best going to develop a plan to cope with that prior to getting out. Now, do you think that plan ever changes? Changes all the time. It changes the day you get out. Too.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible.
The biggest thing that I see in most of the people that graduate, they go from